Yeah, I think both of them are obviously important because you're getting ready to do a physique contest. But let's talk about the mental first. The mental part of getting ready for stage. He's doing a show in June. We are, in the middle of March right now, and towards the end. What you could really do is really focus on making sure that you have a coach that is going to be going over all of your program, which means your training program ahead of time. That's going to address your weak points, number one, because you always want to build a program around your weakest body parts. So if your back is lacking or your arms are lacking, you really want to build your program around those weaker body parts. You also, and if you're doing it yourself, then you could do this yourself as well, just by using this checklist. The other thing is, if you have to work on getting leaner because your body fat's a little bit higher, then make sure that you're really focusing on getting those results every week to be able to get lean enough for the contest. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll kind of skate a little bit the first portion, the first, what I call trimester of the diet, because it's usually on average about a 12-week program, sometimes a little bit longer. And in the first 3 or 4 weeks, they kind of skate by. What you want to do is you want to hit the ground running. Literally, like if you have to start doing cardio, again, I don't recommend running for cardio unless you're a woman who needs to be able to lean out your legs. That's one of the tips that I always use with the women. So, but when you have to turn around and lean out, you really want to make sure that you're starting out with cardio. If you have a higher body fat percentage, you don't want to wait until like, oh, I'm going to hit phase 2 of my program. And for those that, again, don't know, phase 2 would be the second 4 weeks. Normal phases that I put my programs together in are 4-week phases. So first, second, and third phase. Sometimes there's a fourth phase if I have to do a 16-week program, and that would, everything would just be, moved over with either a 4-week pre-phase and then it's 3 phases, or you would just add an extra phase if you need a full 16-week prep. But what really matters is making sure that you are focusing on losing 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. And that's where you want to a body fat. Now, anything more than that, it does become a little bit more detrimental to muscle growth or muscle wasting. You got to really watch yourself. And if you end up losing water weight, that doesn't count. I'm talking about straight body fat. Like, a good 1 pound to 2 pounds is a good average. So making sure that you start off hitting the ground running in the beginning of the prep is going to be really important, and tracking everything. I'm talking about using, your macros, your diet, your training, your reps, your sets, your fluid intake, supplements you're using. Everything should be in a binder or a notebook. And it's really important that I can always go back and say, hey, this is what really worked that year. And there might be some tweaks off of that, but there's some definitely things that you can learn from in your books that you've done in the past. Now, it doesn't always mean that you're going to do the same thing, but you want to see what was working and what wasn't, so you can always reference it. So again, make sure you hit the ground running. Start with a great program that focuses on your weak body parts. Make sure you start off, especially if you have higher body fat, start off with cardio. Try not to wait. A lot of people who have higher body fat, they wait too long and they don't get in shape. And then they end up losing that, that placing or a couple of placings because they just weren't tight enough, because they didn't diet long enough or didn't start their cardio soon enough. So those are the things that I would definitely recommend in regards to that. And the mental preparation comes along with that as well. I mean, that's the physical/mental is to make sure that you properly prepare yourself and your psyche to go into it, Yeah, I think when you're prepared and the more shows you do, there's just a natural tendency to be nervous. I don't care who you are. Seeing somebody in the beginning of the phase of their pro career or even in their amateur career, everybody gets nervous, and it's totally okay. But I remember when I used to compete, I was super nervous. And then as I did my second show, my third show, I got less nervous. And the key was just being able to get used to being on stage. And that's going to help a lot. And then obviously also not doing any of that hocus pocus crap last minute. That's going to really, remember about the fairy? We talked about that. Yeah. We want to make sure we minimize the likelihood of her showing up, the F-up fairy. And I think at the end of the day, what you really want to focus on is being prepared. So therefore, you have a state of confidence. You're coming from a really good, positive state of mind.